Hi, everybody, and welcome. My name is Rachel Salinas. I'm the Director of School Services here at KLRN, and I'm so glad you're here with us. This evening, we're going to be going over the Healthy Kids Project, Physical and Emotional Well-Being. We want to thank our sponsors at First Mark Credit Union and San Antonio Medical Foundation for their amazing work in providing these sessions to the community free of charge. So without further ado, let's get started. Thank you so much for being here. If you could please go ahead and rename your Zoom login with your name as you would like for it to be spelled on your certificate. That helps us out a lot. You can also go ahead and enter your first and last name as you'd like for it to be spelled on the certificate right in the chat. That helps as well. Toward the end of this evening's session, as always, we'll have a post survey that we'll ask you to complete. That helps us to prepare your certificate. And that'll be right about 15 minutes before the end of the session. It'll be available as a QR code that you can scan with your phone or as a link in the chat. It'll lead you to the exact same place and you only need to fill it out once. So thank you so much. That helps us out a bunch. Please do share your thoughts and ideas with us in the chat feature. Although participants will be on mute, we do want to hear what you have to say. Thank you so much for being considerate of everyone. And as always, we're very glad that you're here with us. So let's get started. So in today's session, we're going to explore the fun TEKS-aligned teaching resources that you can find on the Healthy Kids Project. In this session, we're going to be talking about physical and emotional well-being and the connection between the two. A certificate with 2 hours of continuing education credit will be awarded upon completion of the session and the accompanying post-survey. It will be emailed to you in a PDF by May 15th. So I know normally we get these sent out to you a little sooner, but for these, we're going to go ahead and plan for May 15th to be the day by which they are emailed to you in a PDF. And we want to say thank you so much to our sponsors at the San Antonio Medical Foundation and First Mark for making these trainings possible. And we want to thank you, amazing educators, because everything you do helps your students to be healthy and happy. And we want to make sure that you're healthy and happy too. So as we're getting started on the topic of physical and emotional well-being, there's an interconnectedness there. And we want to remind you, you are the special, wonderful, one and only you. There's nobody just like you. It's important to take care of ourselves. You do so much to take care of everyone around you, and we want you to make sure that you're taking time to care for yourself too. So here are some things to remember. Connection between physical and emotional well-being. Stay hydrated. Eat healthy foods. Keep moving. Find exercises that you enjoy. Listen to music and dance along. Keep in mind that we all need to help each other. We receive help and we give help to each other. So in SP's words, it's not about perfection, it's about the right direction. So if the Healthy Kids Project is new to you, thank you for joining us. And this one right here, this is SP. She's very often the voice of reason of our characters here. And she reminds us, sometimes we're going to make mistakes on our journey to good health and well-being, and that's okay. The next time we have an opportunity to make a choice, we want to make that the healthiest choice we can. So it's not about perfection, it's about the right direction. And friends, you have got this and you've got us. Thank you for being here. So first things first, we always like to go over some resources for families and educators. And these are absolutely wonderful, like everything else, free for the entire community. Here's Bright by Text. So this is actually a text service that's been around for a while, and it's awesome. Anybody can join it with children ages 0 years of age all the way to 18 years of age. And for our younger children, you'll find developmental milestones that will be text to you. What you do is you text the letters KLRN to 274448. Or you can sign up for Bright by Text right here at this bit.ly link. It's really pretty awesome. There are lots of great resources. Also, it's a great way to keep up with what's going on in the community. So the information that you'll be entering is your child's birth month and birth year. You'll also enter their, your zip code, and you'll get updates about what's going on in your community, specifically within your zip code as well. So citywide and events that are happening in your zip code. So it's really, really great. And it's available in both English and Spanish and totally free. Another one of our resources that we're very glad to share with you is the KLRN Learn at Home page. These are learning opportunities that you can take advantage of right at home, also at school. So we're glad to be a resource to you. Let's check these out. So learning at home. During these times of uncertainty, we continue to look for creative ways to provide learning opportunities at home for you and your family. And as always, we're proud to be a resource for educators, parents, and caregivers. We want to thank our friends at the San Antonio Medical Foundation and the United Way of San Antonio and Bexar County for their support of KLRN learning resources. So let's take a look. Here are a few places where you can sign up for resources, specifically the Family and Parents newsletter, the educators newsletter, and then there's another section here labeled events and workshops. You can also sign up for another newsletter that's called the Don't Miss list. Now, each one of these only comes out once a month, but it's packed full of great resources. And I do want to mention to you, as you're looking at the labels of these different newsletters, they're labeled as family and parents and educators. But there's some overlap there, right? So you might be working with the very youngest of learners. You might be an infant teacher. So with that, the Family and Parents newsletter is going to have some great resources for you, and you are an educator. So keep that in mind. The Educators newsletter is also a great resource for families. And in that newsletter, you'll find resources for early elementary all the way through 12th grade. We do try to include as many resources in both English and Spanish as possible, and everything is linked and available to everyone. So taking a quick look at the Family and Parents newsletter. Here's a little sample of what you'd see. They're going to come out every month. So right here, we've got some ideas for engaging with our children. There's a resource always that is talking about something for everyone, an infant and toddler activity, an infant and toddler video or game, a preschool activity, preschool video or game, and then we've got early elementary, older elementary, middle school, and high school resources as well. So for the whole family. Here is a sample of the Learn at Home daily activity calendar. And this is really great. So let's take a closer look at this. All throughout the entire month, this is going to come out each month, you'll see options for activities that you can do during that day. And it's linked right in the activity. It'll take you to a really cool resource on PBS Learning Media. And this one is talking about how we can waste less and how we can be helpful to our environment. I'm just going to take a quick segue here and mention to you now, I am not currently logged in to my PBS Learning Media account. So it's going to show up, actually it's showing up that we are from KERA, even though we're from KLRN. That's okay, we're all friends. So you can sign up for free. Access to PBS Learning Media is completely free. You're not going to be charged anything for it. And signing up is also, of course, free. I do want to mention right here, when you're signed in, you'll be able to see the TEKS and state standards. So just to let you know, if you're not signed in, it'll just pop up with this little pop-up here that says, do you want to see the state standards for this resource? Please sign in. So keeping that in mind, I did want to mention that to you. Lots of great resources on our family newsletter. And again, when you see that, please also read, when you see family newsletter, please also read that it is also for educators with some fantastic ideas. My colleague, Miss Elisa, puts together some great resources, especially for our earliest learners. So I do encourage you to check that out. And then there's upcoming community events. So lots of neat things here. Now, again, this is the one from April. So you'll see a new one in May, of course. Our educators newsletter, this is just taking a moment to load here. But we want to share with you that there are some excellent resources for you as both an educator and a family member. So I'll put this together each month, and there's always something for elementary math, language arts, social studies, science, and then also for this those four main academic subject areas for math, language arts, social studies, science for middle school, high school, and elementary. So everybody. It's got instructions for how you can sign up for a PBS Learning Media account. There's a monthly blog post, which we encourage you to check out. And basically what we do is we focus on the theme of the month. So for example, May has a lot of celebrations and awareness, and there's a lot that we're celebrating this month. So with the monthly blog post, we'll be able to see not only which programs on PBS we're promoting that month, but then activities that you can do that are in connection with it. So here's one from March. Let's take a closer look at this one, excuse me, from February. I apologize, from March. So here are where you can register for courses that are coming up, just like this one, totally free, available online. And then a little bit of information about Go Public, which is a really, really fantastic resource. Again, also free. It's an education timeline. There are then resources that are connected to programs that we're promoting that month. So for example, Becoming Frederick Douglass, we're promoting that at the time, and that you can access any of the resources anytime you like. So even if it is a program that is not currently being aired, like let's say you saw it and you're like, oh, I wish I had caught that on TV, but I wasn't able to watch it. Oftentimes you can see that online, or you can log into PBS Learning Media to catch clips of it along with these activities as well. So for example, here is a program that was being promoted, and also we have some resources from PBS Learning Media here that you just click on and then learn more about that resource along with some support materials. Okay, so that's a little bit about our learning at home opportunities, a lot to be able to check out there. And if you ever need any help navigating anything, here is the email that reaches all of us. I'm very lucky to be a part of an amazing team. So you can reach out to any of us at education@klrn.org. As per the norm, you'll be receiving a PDF copy of the slides after the session. So please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. All of the links that are in the PDF are active and bookmarked. So if you'd like to keep that on file to go back to refer to the resources, absolutely. If you want to share the slides with any colleagues that you feel may be interested, please feel free to do so. We're glad to share. So one of our partners with the Healthy Kids Project is the San Antonio Food Bank. They do outstanding work in the community and really, I mean, all over. So let's take a quick look at their website, which is right here. It offers some ways to both get help and give help, opportunities for volunteering, even recipes in different programs. And coming very soon, look out for, there are some wonderful new segments that we're going to be promoting. So keep an eye out for that. Our dear friend, Ms. Angela McDermott, who has joined us for some of the teacher sessions, she's going to be sharing with us gardening tips with kids in Texas. Really, really good information. And I can say, as somebody who is not a gardening superstar, a lot of the advice that Angela gives is really helpful and manageable. So I mean, she's amazing at it. I am very much still a novice skill in learning how to garden, but I feel now like I can do this. So I do encourage you to check those out. So be on the lookout for those wonderful segments, and it'll be very similar to our Healthy Kids breaks that were the recipe breaks. So here are some of the educational resources that are available on the San Antonio Food Bank website, including some recipes and more tips. What I really appreciate about this is these recipes are easy to follow. Now they're a little bit more in depth. So the ones that we show on our website on KLRN that were done in connection with our friends at the San Antonio Food Bank, Miss Ethel hosted them and did an amazing job. Those are easy to use, 1 minute long, easy to incorporate into a class, right? Easy to work with our little ones. These recipes are more in depth. So you might be talking about, a 10-minute recipe, something that would be more maybe geared toward the adult to in creating the recipe, although absolutely something that you could do in a group with children. There's a real focus on buying foods that are using foods, that are in season. So meaning things like summertime is a good time to use strawberries, right? Wintertime, not so much because they're out of season, more expensive, not really as good quality because I've had to travel from farther away. So we want to try to buy things in season or use things that are in season, as well as sort of making vegetables and fruits the star of the show. So you might notice with this one, spaghetti squash Italiano, that's a great way to incorporate spaghetti squash, which is a vegetable, into our foods rather than necessarily using pasta, right? Then we also have mushroom pozole, so using the mushrooms for the flavor instead of meat. Although meat is included in some of the recipes, it is helpful to know like ways that we can be even healthier and incorporate even more vegetables into our diet. Also, fried cauliflower rice. So that's not necessarily rice. We can take a look at that. You can download the recipes here. Oh, excuse me, this does have rice in it. I apologize. There is riced cauliflower, which is where it's cut up really small, and then brown rice as well. So great way to get lots of fiber and nutrients here. So highly encourage you to check that out. There's lots of good stuff there. So moving right along, let's learn a little bit more about the Healthy Kids Project, what it is, and how we can use this free program to practice skills for healthy living. Now, this is designed for students and teachers and families with children between the ages of 0 and 9. So that means, friends, that you can find activities and lessons for our very youngest learners, which I think is outstanding. This program began in 2011 and it's really evolved over the years. It's a truly fantastic program. Now, even though that's sort of the focus age group that we're looking at, there are some great resources in here for all ages. So tips for staying healthy, for drinking enough water, for remembering to get enough sleep, enough physical activity, to make healthy choices. So those are kind of skills that we can apply every day, even as adults. So please do keep that in mind when working with older children as well, that there's some really good information here that you can include in your planning as well. So as I mentioned, it's a program designed for families and educators of children between 0 and 9 years of age. The program is made possible with the foundational support of the San Antonio Medical Foundation. We really appreciate them. The Healthy Kids Project covers the importance of nutrition, emotional well-being, and physical activity in children. You can find videos, lesson plans, and activities that you can do at school or at home. So this is going to be linked. The Healthy Kids Project is going to be linked a few times in the presentation, and that's intentional. It's just to make it easy to find. Since this is going to be kind of a fairly lengthy set of slides to refer to, we wanted to make sure that it was easy to access all of the different areas here. So this is the Healthy Kids Project page. And in a nutshell, the Healthy Kids Project supports healthy lifestyles by influencing eating decisions and physical activities. The project engages all types of learners, visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Now, sort of the foundational portion of the program is are the videos. There are 10 videos available in English and Spanish that are each only 1 minute long. Now, when I first saw this program, I thought, that is awesome. All of the information is very catchy, very eye-catching, it's engaging, and they've managed to put this into 1 minute. So it's definitely not, definitely not something that is going to be difficult to include in a lesson plan. It's just 1 minute long. Now, when I scroll back up here and share our characters with you, if you can stop to think for a second, I'm going to give you a hint. If you're not familiar with these characters, I'll let you know. They're all the same type of vegetable. What vegetable are they? If you guessed potato, you would be correct. They're all potatoes. So they are, russet, Yukon, and SP. And they're on a journey to find out more about how to live healthy. Now, here's our recipe breaks. We'll come back to that in just a second because those are really, really cool. I want to share with you where the videos are. So if you go about a third of the way down the Healthy Kids page, you'll see that these videos are available in English and Spanish. There's We Have Bodies, Hello Body, Sugar, Master of Disguise, The Couch Potato Blues, Not About Perfection, Help Each Other, The Water Song, Foods That Grow, Healthy Choices A to Z, and Health Feels Great. Each one of these videos is also aligned to lesson plans. So if you scroll on down about 2/3 of the way down the page, you'll see family lesson plans. And again, just kind of similar to when we were looking at the newsletters, when you see family lesson plans, absolutely great for families, also great for early childhood educators, because these lesson plans start with our youngest learners, infancy. And we'll take a closer look at each of these in just a few minutes. There are also pre-K lesson plans. Now, as a teacher who spent a number of years in the classroom, when I saw how these were laid out with all the teaks right there, I thought, oh my goodness, this is awesome. This is so easy to use. No need to reinvent the wheel. It's just great. Then you'll also see sets of lessons that are labeled Lesson 1, and it's English and bilingual. I'll explain that in just a second. Lessons 1 through 10, and those are geared for our kindergarten through 2nd grade learners. They're aligned to the TEKS for that age group. Now, you might wonder why it's labeled English and bilingual instead of English and Spanish. The lesson plans that are labeled bilingual have the teacher-facing materials in English, but the student-facing materials in Spanish. So what that would mean is, if it's the lesson plan is asking you something along the lines, let's just take a closer look at this. Actually, I'm not doing a great job of explaining it. It's letting you know as a teacher, okay, we're going to watch the We Have Bodies video, key discussion questions. What were the characters doing in the video? And I think I looked at the English one here. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead over here. So it's going to introduce us. This is the lesson plan that's bilingual, labeled bilingual. You're going to watch the We Have Bodies videos, and here are the key discussion questions. And then the questions are asked in Spanish. ¿Qué es lo que hacían los personajes del video? ¿Por qué? So all of the questions that are student facing are in Spanish. So just wanted to mention the distinction there. And those are 10 different lesson plans, each lesson, and the same thing for our pre-K lesson plans and our family lesson plans. Each lesson plan has a corresponding video. Or another way I could say it is each video has a corresponding set of lesson plans for families, which is ages 0 through 5, pre-K, which is about 2.5 to 4/5, and then our kindergartners, which is 5 all the way, kindergartners through 2nd grade, which we've labeled as 5 through 9. So we'll check out each of these videos in just a few minutes here, but I wanted to kind of give you an overview of how you could find the Healthy Kids Project. Also, let's say you wanted to find it from the main page. So you'd go here, you'd go to Learn, School Services, and the Healthy Kids Project. So that's just another way to use it. You can also use the slides directly, however you like. It'll link you right here to this page. Just wanted to share that with you. Please do reach out in the chat if you have any questions. So here's a little background on the Healthy Kids Project. The Healthy Kids Project is funded and supported by the San Antonio Medical Foundation, supported and distributed by KLRN, and created by Gotta Look Productions, LLC. The Healthy Kids Project has also earned the official endorsement of the San Antonio Mayor's Fitness Council and former Mayor Julian Castro. We encourage you to share the program as it was created as a gift to the community, and we want people to use it. So like we said, please feel free to share the slides, talk about the project. There's actually also opportunities for partnering with KLRN on the Healthy Kids Project and being a Healthy Kids school. Again, that is totally free. So if you're interested in that, we are going to go over one of the slides that describes that process. So we'll be starting that again in the fall. So I know that we're just about to get into summertime here, but as you know, we're all planning about upcoming events and how we'll be working with this. Please do feel free to reach out to us. Again, you can reach out to me at rsalinas@klrn.org and set that up. There's all that information on one of the last slides in the slide deck. So just something to keep in mind as we're thinking about next school year. So you can share about the Healthy Kids Project by either sharing these slides or the website directly, the webpage directly with anyone you'd like. We're glad to share and very excited to share about the program. So we wanted to share with you who took part in the creation of the content for the Healthy Kids Project. There are some expert content and expert teachers who were involved in the process to see how is this program going to work? How might we utilize it? So there's experts from several different fields, the medical field, the fields of education. And you can see here that 10 districts were actually involved in the process as well. So while the materials are all based on these lively, fun, and animated musical videos, which are extremely catchy and easy to remember, there's a lot of thought and science behind them. The program was developed under the guidance of an advisory board. We saw some of the individuals who partook in that process on the previous slide. And there are subject matter and medical experts from the San Antonio Medical Foundation and from the community at large. Teachers were involved in the process too, and they gave exceptional feedback to make sure that the program was usable and friendly to real teachers in real classrooms. So one of the points that was made, and I didn't take part in the creation of this program, but I'm a big advocate of it because I think it's just so helpful and meaningful, and there's a lot of great material here that is so important for all of us, you know, whether we're children, whether we're adults, to take into consideration, right? All of this material is very usable to real people in real classrooms. As the teachers were working on that, they shared their feedback, you know, what's going to be usable. And I think that the fact that these videos are so nice and concise, they're just a minute long. I mean, as teachers, we know how valuable time is and how important it is to be able to capture attention and to share a meaningful message. And these videos absolutely do a perfect job of that. In addition, all of the lesson plans are aligned to the TEKS, the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, or the state standards for what students should know and be able to do. Now, when I initially learned about the Healthy Kids Project, I thought, oh, well, it would make sense to me that it's related to TEKS that have to do with health and physical education. And while they do, they also, excuse me, address reading and math, writing and social studies and science. So all of these different areas, so we can incorporate these lesson plans, these supplemental lesson plans, not as an additional thing that we would be doing in addition to our plans, but to make them part of it, right? So we can make this part of a math lesson or part of a science lesson. Some really, really good material here. And again, absolutely totally free. So we're going to introduce our characters. I'm sorry, one moment, please. Sorry. Okay, so this is Russet, Yukon, and SP. In video one, there are 3 potatoes growing in a school garden. They get pulled up and discover how amazing it is to move. It's an adorable video. We're going to take a look at each one of these videos and the corresponding lessons, and you'll see this in the first one. The emphasis of the project is to respect and care for the amazing gift that is the human body. So it's not about what we look like, it's about how we feel inside and how we perform in life. So we want to make that a really important message as well. The characters come in different colors, shapes, and sizes, just like real people. And the key message is that our choices affect how we feel and perform. So we want to choose health. Good health is its own reward because health feels great. You can find the Healthy Kids Project on PBS Learning Media and on the KLRN the KLRN website. Now, we did take a look at the KLRN website. We'll go ahead and click over there just to let you know that link will take you back to our page. And you can also find it on PBS Learning Media. Excuse me. Now, one of the things that I want to mention on the PBS Learning Media site is that you can access the videos directly as well as you can on our web page. If you are watching them through YouTube, as per the norm on YouTube, there will be usually an ad ahead of time. So if you want to skip that completely, you can go to the PBS Learning Media site, and all of the videos are available here. I do want to mention one thing. The pre-K and family lesson plans are not yet available on PBS Learning Media. Excuse me. So I do want to mention that, but everything is available here. If you want to watch it in English or Spanish, you can do so just by clicking right here, and that will play the video for you in your chosen language. The default is usually English. If you have any questions, please do feel free to reach out. Again, this is going to link us back to our Healthy Kids Project page. And this is just a reminder that there are videos in both languages, English and Spanish. Here's just a screenshot of the fact that we offer all these lessons. So if you're wanting to share this, these particular slides, let's see what pages are we on, about 18, 19, 20. These slides are great to be able to share if you're looking at sharing this program with your school and wanting to perhaps have a brief overview. I know this session is going to be about 2 hours long, so this isn't brief. This is a little bit more in depth. But if you wanted to share this, perhaps with an administrator, to share, why you think it would be a good idea to use this program in your school as a supplemental set of lesson plans and materials, this might be slides 18, 19, 20, 21. Those might be good choices there. And again, this will link you right back to the page. And if you need any help with anything, please do feel free to reach out to us. We are also glad to work with your school. If you are interested in professional development sessions and you want us to come to your campus, you can schedule that with us. Again, that is totally free, and we're glad to provide that as a resource as well. So do keep that in mind, please. So we'll take a closer look at the Healthy Kids Project. Again, that's going to link you right back to the page, including videos, lessons, and activities. So this is the first of the videos that we're going to talk about, called We Have Bodies. This is really the start of the program, if you will. So since we need our bodies for everything we do in life, we're going to learn a little bit more about how we can make healthy choices and take care of ourselves. So in this particular video, we're going to be introduced to our characters. So slides 23 through, I believe, 32 are going to have each of the lessons linked here. So if you're interested in sharing that, again, you'll be receiving a copy of the slide deck. You can keep it, you can share it, however you'd like to share it, please go ahead. And like I mentioned earlier, if you're interested in sharing this with an administrator, here's exactly where you can find everything bookmarked. It'll link you right back to the page. So what I went ahead and did here was at the very top, but videos and activities. This is going to link us to PBS Learning Media. The reason being, you can see the video without the YouTube connection. I have heard from 2 schools that occasionally linking to YouTube is blocked by their internet. So I just wanted to mention that as well. It's going to be the same video, the same content. It's totally fine and absolutely good to use in class, but sometimes YouTube itself is not an accessible link in school. So I wanted to include this one here so you'd be able to see it. So here is the first of our videos, We Have Bodies. And here again is where you can see it in either English or Spanish.
La-di-da-di-da-di, sitting there growing. La-di-da-di-da-di. Whoa, that was scary. But it sure feels good to move at last. Whoa, I didn't realize I grew this much underground.
Ugh. Oh, me either.
This is amazing. I can just think a thought and my body moves. Try it.
Okay. Whoa, my eyes. Yep. That thought thing works. Might need some fine-tuning, though.
We can walk and we can run. We can skip and dance for fun.
We can kick.
And we can roll. We can jump.
And we can roll.
We can swing.
And we can lift.
Everybody is a gift.
Each of our bodies is different, and everybody can do neat things.
What can your body do?
So what a great positive message, right? We're teaching our kiddos about the value of movement. We can do all these things. And as Yukon, that's the little yellow potato, who I kind of see a little bit of myself in that one. It's not super coordinated, and I'm not super coordinated either. But he's learning, right? So he's saying, hey, I can do this. I can move around. SP is saying the same thing. So is Russet, right? So we're all kind of on a different journey, but we're all helping each other. So you're going to see that theme continued throughout the different videos. And again, a minute long. So how great is that? There are some great lesson plans and activities that are here. Again, these are the ones that are just available for kinder through second grade. So what we've done here is to include the family lesson plan, pre-K lesson plan, kinder through second grade lesson plan, and then the resource right here. Now, if you are interested in going directly to the Healthy Kids Project page, of course, you can see all of these ideas and lessons in both English and Spanish. In the slides, I've just gone ahead and linked them here in English. However, you are more than welcome to use all of the resources that you see because they're for all of us. So here's an example of the family lesson plan. Now, again, please look at the family lesson plan and know that this is also going to include some fantastic resources for our early childhood educators, specifically early childhood educators that are working with the very youngest learners. So let's take a look at this. This is laid out in such a way that the first part is going to be from birth to 18 months, and then it will increase in 6-month increments after that. So it'll be 19 to 24 months, 25 to 30 months, 30 to 36 months, 37 to 60 months. And then there's a great section down here too, labeled special needs, which offers some accommodation ideas for children who may have special needs, or just ways to make these lesson plans even more accommodating to our entire group of kiddos. There's also a family assignment recommended here too. So lots of great ways to interact. I do want to mention here, you may notice as you're looking through each one of these family lesson plans that from birth to 18 months, we're actually not including the video. That's intentional. Studies have shown that any younger than 18 months, they're really not getting any meaningful interaction out of screen time. So we're just skipping it for now. Once we do get to the 19 to 24 months, however, and even older, we're encouraging our caring adults. So whether you are family or an educator, you're a caring adult, you're co-viewing that with your kiddo or your kiddos, right? So we're watching it with them, we're asking questions, we're commenting on what we're seeing, we're making observations together. For our very youngest learners, let's start here. So we'll start by introducing vocabulary words of the day. Let's see what those are. We'll see these right up here. Vocabulary words of the days would be eyes, nose, mouth, and toes. So we'll talk about introducing those. We're going to talk with the infants by pointing to the different body parts. As the child responds by moving and communicating, acknowledge their movements. This helps the child understand that their actions elicit responses, and you are introducing new words, right? I'm touching your nose. Oh, you have big, beautiful brown eyes. You have 10 toes, 5 toes on each of your feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? 10 toes all together. So you can talk with your kiddos and share these vocabulary words, and it's a very caring. It's the way that you're already doing so much of what you do, right? You're sharing and you're learning and you're growing together. It offers really great opportunities to be able to bond as well. The standards and learning outcomes that we're looking for are communication, listening, understanding, and vocabulary. So this is everything for our birth to 18 months. And this is just for the first lesson, right? This is just when we're talking about we have bodies. As we get into the older age groups, now we are introducing the video, right? Excuse me, and we're encouraging co-viewing. We suggest creating picture cards to include a picture in the word of the vocabulary words of the day, right? So we want to point to our body parts like eyes, for example, and then we can show the picture card to include the eyes, and then underneath it or on the back, it could say eyes, ojos, and you can even expand on that as they get older, right? Ojos azules, ojos cafés, right? So we're we're sharing with them. Parts of me, I have 2 eyes, I have 1 nose, I have 1 mouth, I have 10 toes. So we're sharing with our kiddos, we're communicating with them, we're focusing on vocabulary and communication. One piece of advice that I really like here is use where is and show me questions. And so where is your nose? Show me your nose instead of can you show me your nose or can you find your nose, right? Because the answer to that can technically just be yes, and then leave it, right? So if we say, show me your nose, we're leaving a little bit more opportunity for the kiddo to share with us, like, oh, it's right here. This is my nose, right? So that's some good advice too. And then we have some songs here as well. Now we're including from 30 to 36 months. So about our 2.5 to 3-year-olds, we're including a book head to toe. We're explaining what's happening in the video. And now we're starting to see the preschool teaks being addressed right here too. So this is something to keep in mind if you are submitting lesson plans, for example, and this is just an example. If you're submitting lesson plans on a weekly basis, daily basis, monthly basis, however you go about it, you could include these in your lesson plans, and the teaks are right there. In just a moment, we'll take a look at some of the pre-K lesson plans too. And I just love the way this is laid out because it offers the teaks ready to go. You don't have to search for an activity and then find out, okay, this is aligned to which teak again, and try to memorize that. I mean, you might know that, oh, okay, it's math and it's for pre-K, but what exactly was that number teak there? It's all laid out for us. So very, very helpful. 37 to 60 months, these are older pre-K kiddos getting ready to start kindergarten. The teaks are included here too, and we're talking about a picture walk with the book, asking our child to share their thoughts about what they think the story might be about, and to retell or reenact the story by themselves. Special needs. When you see this, please know that there's some great accommodation ideas here. And this is going to be kind of like a memory or matching set game. So we're introducing the set of pre-made cards using familiar objects. So we might not necessarily start with the body parts like eyes and ears and mouth and nose, hands. We might start with something that is of particular interest to the child. That could be dinosaurs or cars or a character or a shape, whatever it is that our children are interested in, right? And then being able to find a matching game to go along with that. Create a matching game to go along with that, and it gives us some ideas for instruction on how we can go about that. Additionally, you can add in the other activities that we had mentioned a little earlier about making that pre-made card set once the kiddo is familiar with the process of the game and more comfortable with it. This is helping our kiddos with their working memory. It's helping them follow rules. It's helping them to take turns, and it's also helping them to develop their language skills. I love the family assignment. Friends, in a nutshell, this is a dance party. So you can have a dance party with your kiddos that are as young as infancy, and talking about holding our kiddos. We want to make sure that, of course, the music, if it does contain lyrics, that those are appropriate for children. Encourage your child to lead the movements in the way that the music sways them. And you can even create dancing ribbons out of a plastic tablecloth, right? So reusing materials, lots and lots of great stuff here. And I want to remind you, this is just one. This is just the first of the lessons. Now, when you see that, please know that everything here is accessible. It's not like I have to do X, Y, and Z super specific to make sure that it's fit exactly into, this day. No. These are ideas for how you can supplement learning. So I do want to share this with you and hear the teaks that are, aligned to it. So with that, we're going to take a closer look at the pre-K lesson plans. Now, remember how I mentioned to you that the teaks are all right at the top? How cool is that? When I was lesson planning, when I was working with elementary students, I remember I would find like, oh, this is a great activity. I can't wait to do this. What was the teak that went with that? And, they very often weren't included with the activity. Like, okay, let me kind of search around and see how this aligns to the teaks. Friends, all of the lesson plans for the pre-K, all of the pre-K lesson plans have the TEKS at the very beginning. So it is super easy to be able to access, okay, what are we focusing on this week or in this lesson? The objectives are laid out as well as the activities. Now, the idea here is not to replace what you have set up for the day, right? These are activities that could be spread out over a week. Some of them could have several of them done in the same day. You could do them over a couple of weeks. This is kind of how it is laid out in sort of one document for you. And again, this is just the first of the lessons. So we would be introducing the video, the We Have Bodies video, and discussing it. As we know, each of the videos is only 1 minute long. So when we introduce the video, we're sharing with them like, okay, you know, this is, we're going to be introducing a video. I think you're going to like it. This is going to be about some friends that are growing in a garden, their potatoes. So kind of things like that, right? So we're introducing it, we're co-viewing it with them. And then we have some shared reading to follow up from Head to Toe by Eric Carle. Circle time, I can do it, can you? Again, these don't all have to be done in the exact same order or even on the same day. We would recommend, however, that you would start the lesson with the video, right? So we'd explore the book from head to toe. Circle time, we're going to demonstrate an action and encourage the children to try it themselves. Points to ponder. Now, there's a variety of ways that you can use the points to ponder. I really like this as a dinner time conversation starter. Points to ponder. We're going to see these in just a second. They're really cute and really fun. And as an adult, there was a lot that I didn't know. That was like, oh, that's interesting. I feel like my kiddo would have shared these items, you know, had they been at the age to learn about that. That's definitely something they would have shared at the dinner table. Extension activities. These are ideas for further exploration of a concept. So this is something that you could do in your classroom or that you could share in perhaps like an e-newsletter to your families. Like, here's something to try at home. You could do it in class. There's also family activity. Again, the family activity could be done at home and reported about at school, or you could do it at school and encourage your families to try it at home and to see like what new ideas they came up with as well, and gives us an opportunity to share and really connect between home and school. There are very few materials that are involved, especially the preparation is pretty straightforward, not a lot of small detailed items to have to cut out, for example, right? So if, like for an extension activities, here's, for the extension activities, you might need sentence strips or a large chart table paper and markers. You have pictures of animals for the animal walk, so things like that. Here's pedagogy as well to refer to. A fun fact, did you know what is with each person every day, all day, and is still working hard even when that person is sleeping? The body. It is always working, it's always breathing oxygen and pumping blood. And to that point, one of the ways that we introduce the program itself is to start a question. Is there anything that you can do without using your body? Think about it. Is there even one thing? No, we need our bodies for everything that we do in life, right? So whether we're thinking, talking, sleeping, sitting down and watching TV, running, playing, dancing, whatever it is that we're doing, we need our bodies. So with that in mind, we want to take very good care of ourselves because we need our bodies for everything that we do. Here's our brain builder vocabulary: important, value, healthy, energy, and nutrition. And then here's links to other resources that are very helpful as well. So here are the activities in a little bit more detail. Shared reading process in a little bit more detail. The circle time activities in a little bit more detail. And again, you could certainly look at this and say like, okay, this is part of our weekly theme. You know, that is one way to go about it. I know that one of the schools that we had the pleasure of working with this year had done a great job of that. They said, you know, I think we're going to focus on like a lesson per week. and kind of go from there. And I thought that was a great way to use it, because these lessons are very helpful and they don't all have to be done in the space of a day. You can incorporate the lessons that are, the portions of the lessons that are connected to a specific subject area, like let's say math, right? You could incorporate that into your math lesson or math lessons during the week. You can introduce morning meeting with these videos. There's a lot of different ways you can go about this, right? Points to ponder. One of the things I suggest is sharing it in your classroom and then including it in a newsletter, because it's just fun to know. This is the one I was talking about. Like, I didn't know this before. Did you know that your nose has a memory? It can remember as many as 50,000 different scents. Pretty neat, right? Here's one that you may already know. By age 6, your brain weighs approximately 3 pounds and it never gets any heavier. That's interesting too, right? It really speaks to the importance of early childhood education. Extension activities, the important thing about my body. So this is where we're coming up with a class poem. Now, this says it could take about 20 minutes. However, as we're looking at that, this may or may not be something that you want to do as a whole group, right? You might want to, and this is just a suggestion, but let's say you have 15 children in your class, right? Just an idea, just throwing a number out there. Well, you might want to say, okay, we're going to do this in 5 groups of 3, right? And so we're working with the 3 children and sharing like, oh, what's something that you can do? I can run really fast. I can do a cartwheel. I know how to play the piano. Whatever it is, you need your body to do it, right? I'm really good at reading. I love to do art. Whatever it is, you need your body to do it, right? So that's sharing the important thing about my body. And then we're following up. Do the potatoes in this video do any activities that the class listed? So you might share this idea with the whole group, talk about that, something that we might do in a center or in small group, and then to be able to put together this great big book of everything that, our special talents, right? The important thing about my body. So, what's something special that you're proud to share with folks? Maybe like, I always mention a cartwheel because I've never known how to do a cartwheel. But like, if you could do a cartwheel, like if I could do a cartwheel, I'd be really proud of that, right? So whatever it is that we know how to do, that we're proud of sharing, or I know how to take great care of my pet, right? Whatever it is that we want to share, we can put that in there, and then everybody's got their name and their special talent, and it's part of a class book. So a really neat idea. And that might take place over a few days, right? And then we have a finished product. The art center, encourage children to create illustrations that correlate with the poem that they wrote. Help by scribing a statement about an important thing their body can do, right? So as they're doing that, they may be practicing their writing, and then they can dictate to you what their drawing is about, right? And we can help them to write that down. It's an animal walk. That's another great activity. Music center, theater or drama center, crafting puppets, and a family activity. So just different things to explore. And again, this is just pre-K lesson plans for just the first lesson here, right? Kinder through 2nd grade lesson plans are going to be laid out like this. And in bold, we'll see the questions that we'd be asking to the students. And in unbolded font, if you will, those are the questions that are posed to the teacher. Again, you'll see some similarities here, but kind of geared more toward the slightly older age group here. Points to ponder, again, are included here too. I feel like that's a fun thing to start by welcoming your kids to the classroom, right? Did you know that your nose has a memory? It can remember as many as 50,000 different scents, right? And so if there's pizza in the cafeteria that day, right? You know what pizza smells like. Everybody knows what pizza smells like. Well, my brain remembered that, right? That's a scent that my brain can remember. I don't know. I just think it's cool. It's a neat idea. And then we see some similar activities here as well. Again, a lot of great activities. Here's one called A Week of Healthy Choices. And we're going to take a look at that particular resource in just a second. So let's talk about what it is. This is explained to students that they will keep a record of their healthy choices for 5 days. and give each child a copy of the attached worksheet, which is linked in that slide right there, called A Week of Healthy Choices. That's available in both English and Spanish. Show students how to record their good choices daily by checking the appropriate columns. At the end of the week, students discuss their choices as a class. Some summary questions that we can include in this is name some of the healthy activities that the potatoes are doing in the video that the children can also do. So you remember how SP, the little purple potato, how she was really excited to that I can dance and march and run and I can do all these different things, right? What are some healthy foods that children might eat? I think it's always amazing how kiddos will share some really neat choices for healthy foods. My kiddo loves Brussels sprouts. I don't know where they got that from. I'm not a super huge fan of Brussels sprouts. Neither is their dad, but I think that's cool. Like, our kiddos can come up with things like, I really love blueberries, or I really love, in the case of my child, Brussels sprouts or apples or whatever it is, and encourage that. Say, oh, that's great. That's a fantastic snack to have. And it's got all these vitamins in it, right? So we want to be able to share that with them as well. The TEKS are laid out here by grade level. There are second grade activities, kindergarten activities, first grade activities. So everything listed right here. Now, this week of healthy choices, there's a few different ways that you can use this. Some suggestions, if I may. You could laminate this. You could, excuse me, you could include it in a page protector, like one of those that you might put in a binder. You could use stickers or dry erase markers. And basically what we're doing, and we can encourage the families to help with this too, right? So as we're sharing this with our kiddos, we want to also include their families in the process. Okay, I ate breakfast today. Yes. I got plenty of sleep last night. Yes. All right, so that could be a check mark, that could be a smiley face, however you want to do a sticker. Now, we can go into a little bit, we can go in depth with this a little bit more, right? I ate a breakfast today. What would a healthy breakfast be, right? Talking about the components of that. What does plenty of sleep mean? Well, initially we might look at that and say like, okay, that means I felt rested, and that's totally fine. Excuse me, as we're working on this doesn't have to just be for 5 days. This can be something that we reuse or make copies of, send home with our kiddos a copy as well, right? Talking about plenty of sleep. Well, when we're growing, we're going to need more sleep, right? So if we need to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, what time do we need to go to bed at night? And then we're also having a conversation about telling time, right? I exercised today. There's a whole bunch of different ways that we can exercise, right? What are some things that we could do? I drank at least 6 glasses of water. Now, just speaking from experience here, this one can be a little bit of a challenge. However, there's some good tips and strategies. One of those is starting your day with a cup of water, right? If you do that, it kind of sets you on a good schedule, if you will, to remember to drink water. At least it does for me, and it does for my family. So if we start the day with a glass of water, it's like, okay, we started with one, we're starting off on the right track. Having some with breakfast. Okay, now that's 2. Having some in the middle of the morning. Now that's 3, right? And then at lunch, in the afternoon, and at dinner, you've got 6 right there. Not to say you can't have more, and you absolutely should have plenty of water, especially when you're exercising, right? Especially when it's hot outside. I love that question 5. The question on question 5 follows the I drank at least 6 glasses of water. I drank water instead of soda. Friends, I don't want to be bearer of bad news, but I think that we all know that soda is bad for us, right? One of the things that we'll talk about in a little bit is how 1 can of soda, just a regular 12-ounce can of soda, has the equivalent of 12 teaspoons of sugar. So visualizing that, the sugar packets that we can find in restaurants, those have a teaspoon of sugar. That's how much they contain. So if we were to pour that open and eat it, it'd be like eating 12 of those. That is a lot of sugar. Keeping in mind that on hot days, we all know it gets very hot here in Texas, right? On hot days, we might want even more than one soda, right? We might want 2 or even 3 because it tastes sweet and it's refreshing, but it is really, really not good for us. And it's getting a whole bunch of sugar into our systems very quickly. Diabetes is linked, soda consumption is linked to type 2 diabetes, it's just not good for us. There's really no value in drinking soda. So not to say that we can't ever have it, but we want to treat it like we would treat candy, right? We're not going to eat large amounts of candy every day, all day, right? If we treat soda like candy, we'll be better off, and just avoiding it as much as possible is really the healthiest choice. I'm sorry. I know I went on a little bit of a of an extended point with that one, but I do want to speak to the importance of avoiding sugar. It's really, really not good for us to drink soda. Now, number 6, I ate at least one vegetable at each meal. You could include in that fruit or vegetable or both, and or vegetable, right? I chose white milk instead of chocolate milk for lunch. Now, this is a great one, but you might not drink milk. So if that's the case, you can just scratch that one or include something else. The idea is on that one that we want to try to avoid extra sugar there as well. Sugar is hidden in quite a few foods and beverages, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in our upcoming segments as well. So hello, body. So let's talk about all the amazing things that we can do. We can stretch and move and start our day. And this particular video is awesome for starting the day.
Good morning.
That was some good sleep.
Oh, it feels great to move.
Good morning fingers, good morning toes, good morning smile, good morning nose, good morning eyeballs, good morning arms, good morning hands, good morning legs, good morning shoulders, good morning knees, good morning elbows and hips too if you please. Good morning balance, good morning chest, good morning breath. My body likes to move and get a good night's rest. These are 2 important things that help me be my best.
Wanna feel great? Choose health.
So how cute is that video? Super encouraging, great way to start the day, right? So it's talking about little movements that we can do to start our day and stretching. I love the end of that. My body likes to move and get a good night's rest. These are 2 important things that help me be my best. The songs are so catchy and so helpful because that's really, really good information to remember like that, like to remember immediately, right? Those are 2 things that we really do need. We need physical activity and we need rest. We need that balance. And with that, wanted to include that picture there, good morning balance, right? Excuse me. So here are the lesson plans for families. Again, when we see families, also please read early childhood education, starting from our youngest learners, starting from infancy, right? So we have the good morning chant, the hello body chant, opportunities for interaction. These are some things that you're probably already doing, right? So this is showing how it's connected, what the standards and learning outcomes are. And these would be the ones that would go along with the hello body video. The exception being the birth to 18 months. We're just not including the video, but we are talking about the theme and that focus there as well. 19 to 24 months, we're starting by watching the video. Sing and dance to the video together. I love that. Now, friends, if you've heard me sing any of the little songs, I don't really have a singer's voice, but it's just about interaction, right? It's just about sharing that learning opportunity together. So keep that in mind. If you're like me and singing's maybe not your strong suit, I know it's not mine, but I enjoy it, right? It's still important to do. It's still important to sing and move and learn together. So we're talking about the different body parts there. And again, we have the pre-K teaks addressed here. Just going to go ahead and skim through a little bit because I want to respect your time. I get so excited to talk about all these different lessons. Like they're so amazing. So I want to make sure I'm keeping on track with time. Here's a great accommodation idea. We're basically playing red light, green light, linking language to movement. And so this is a wonderful resource as well. There's also a family assignment, where we're introducing different outdoor games and activities to our children. They can be structured sports, casual activities in the park or backyard, or on play equipment such as tricycles. The goals are to increase our children's body control and our children's abilities to follow auditory and visual cues. We want to encourage basic language ideas linked with visual cues by pairing movement with colors or numbers, practicing different body movements such as hopping or stop-start motions, and sensory motor activities. Here is the pre-K lesson plan. And again, we have all the TEKs laid out here. Here are the objectives, the activities. And again, this is something that you can spread out over the course of a week. Different ones that you might include on the same day, different activities for different days. And just the one that I mentioned of, having a different lesson for every week, right? Lesson 1 on week 1, lesson 2 on week 2, so on and so forth. You could certainly do that, or you can modify it to the best needs of your classroom for your students. So this is a really, really great resource here, as well as our kinder through 2nd grade lesson plans. And this is where we're talking with our kiddos about what is movement, right? Compare and contrast all movements. What was the same about all of your movements? Ask students if they know how their bodies are able to move in so many different ways. We're talking about muscles, bones, and joints. So we're going to take a look at that with this upcoming activity here, which is really geared toward 1st grade. There is another very similar activity called How Many Joints? That's for 2nd grade, where we add up the counting of the joints in our arm, leg, right leg, left arm, right arm, thumb, little finger, pointer finger, and we're adding that up between ourselves and our buddies. So it's a really neat way to encourage interaction as well. If you have any questions, please do share them in the chat. Okay, so here's a big one. Sugar, the master of disguise. Sugar is hiding in a lot of different places, and we want to make sure that we're avoiding it whenever possible. There's another video that we'll be seeing shortly here called Foods That Grow. It goes, foods that grow aren't the best, foods that grow are the best foods, don't you know? And that's really important to keep in mind, because when we're thinking about something that is a sweet treat, we want to expand our ideas of what that could be, right? That could be an apple, that could be a banana, that could be a mango, that could be a lot of different fresh fruits, right? Even carrots. Carrots are pretty sweet, and those are vegetable. So thinking about that, we want to try to avoid prepackaged and sugary treats, because those really are not good for us. Let's check out why. This is the Sugar Master of Disguise video.
I go by many names. I'm a master of disguise. Dextrose, fructose, sucrose, and corn syrups where I hide. I conceal myself in many foods. I love to ruin your good mood. I'll take you up, you'll feel so high, and then I'll drop you from the sky. You'll be cranky, crabby too. My sugar is so bad for you. Taste, taste, taste so sweet, but watch what happens as you eat. Those teeth rot, that belly pops, diseases come. Oh, that's no fun but me. I'm just so sweet. It's just a little treat. So go ahead, eat, eat, eat.
Don't listen to that guy. Choose health.
There's our friend SP again, being the voice of reason. So what were some of the things that we noticed there? One of the points that really stood out to me was how the vocabulary around what sugar is was identified almost immediately, right? And I love that, because this is for kiddos that are small, right? Dextrose, sucrose, fructose, and corn syrup are where I hide. So we hear that and we associate like, that's something I should avoid. That's not a good, healthy food for me, right? And it shows the effects that too much sugar can have on us. It makes us cranky and crabby, right? It's also going to show in the upcoming video how it can have an effect on us as well, where we start to feel like really tired and knocked out, even when we haven't done much of anything. So we're going to check out another video later on as well, actually the one that follows this one. So let's take a look at the lesson plans here. Here's the family lesson plan. And again, we start with birth to 18 months, and we're talking about sensory-based materials with this one, right? So when we're talking about sweet foods, that's part of a sense, right? It tastes sweet. What else tastes sweet that could be good for us? Let's think of some options, right? Maybe watermelon, maybe banana, right? Soft fruits. It could be oranges, right? And they smell good too. So there's lots of different options there. When they're 19 to 24 months, we're now introducing the video, and we're talking now, we're being interactive, talking about during breakfast, lunch, and dinner, talking with our children about where food comes from, how it smells, and how it tastes. Another idea that I know has been around for a while is kind of turning your trip to the grocery store into a bit of a field trip, right? So with our little ones, we're talking about like, let's smell this. What do you think it might taste like? Is this something that you want to try? I remember a particular source of intrigue for my child were coconuts, because they sound different, right? When you shake them, you can hear that there's liquid inside, and it's heavy, and it's got the fibers on the outside. It's hard. And then we're talking about, what do you think it's going to look like on the inside? Kiwis are a great one for that one as well. Lots of different choices. So things that are easy to find, talking about smelling them. Apples, right? Those smell so good. Such an opportunity for learning more and talking about how all of these things grow either from the ground, on a tree, on a bush, and different ways that these foods grow, and that they're very healthy for us, and they have a lot of vitamins. And even though these taste wonderful, they're not bad for us, right? So this wouldn't be like eating a whole bunch of frosting or marshmallows or something like that, right? This is good for us, and it's something that we actually need. Again, we have an opportunity for sensory exploration, including like a sensory bin filled with dried beans, uncooked rice, or shredded paper, picture cards of familiar foods in different sizes and amounts. So looking at like a cupcake or versus strawberries, things like that. And then talking about the number of items that are there as well. So lots of great activities here. And then we're kind of doing a sensory exploration game by putting items into a pillowcase and asking our kiddo to see if they can identify it by touch, right? So it might be something like a toy car versus a teddy bear. What are some differences that we can notice in the way that it feels? What does this feel like? Oh, this is a crayon. I know what that feels like. This is a pair of socks. Things like that. So really great ideas and things where you don't need to prepare much ahead of time too, which is also helpful. Here's a great resource called Where is Sugar Hiding? So we can modify this too, right? So white milk or plain milk, right? Talking about how much sugar, how many kids drink it. This is giving our kiddos the opportunity to kind of survey their classmates. Very helpful. Pretty eye-opening. Fruit punch, orange juice, water, and chocolate milk. And then we're going to put the sugar order and drinks in order from least to greatest by how much sugar is in each. So again, we're practicing least to greatest. Kids challenge, which is the healthiest drink to choose. Well, we always want to encourage water first, right? We need water to stay hydrated. Oh, excuse me, the pre-K lesson plans, I didn't go through those. Want to make sure to do that. The objectives here, it's very, very important to learn this so early in life, because this is, all stages of life are important, but this is a really foundational time of life, as you know. Early childhood, we're building skills and habits that we want to encourage for a long, long time, right? So when we're teaching our little ones, choose water instead of soda, choose fruit instead of candy, we're building a foundation there to where we're showing them this is what's healthy, this is going to help you, is going to help you feel healthy and well, and versus eating things like candy and sweets, that's not going to really help us too much. Now, I want to say, when we're mentioning all of this, this is not to say we're never going to eat birthday cake, we're never going to enjoy a little bit of a soda. But it's really speaking to the importance of choosing those healthy foods first. And so trying to avoid foods that have a lot of sugar and a lot of salt for that matter, but especially foods that include a lot of added sugar. A child between the ages of 4 and 8 should only have the equivalent of 3 teaspoons of added sugar per day. Now, we know that when we look at nutrition labels, there are, it's listed in grams, right? There are 4.2 grams for every teaspoon. So we say it's roughly 4, we round to the nearest whole number. So we'd say it's 4 grams per teaspoon, right? With that in mind, that would add up to 12 grams, right? Of sugar that a child should have, added sugar, excuse me, in the course of a day. So these would be added sugars, would be things that we would find in packaged foods, candies, especially soda. Soda is one of like the worst, the worst for that added sugar component. And to keep that in mind, I know we mentioned a little bit earlier, but a can of soda contains 12 teaspoons worth of sugar in it. So if there's 4 grams for every teaspoon, that is about 48 grams of sugar per can of soda. Right? 48 grams, 12 teaspoons, just a regular size soda, right? Just a regular 12-ounce soda. That is 4 times more than the maximum amount a child should have in a day in just 1 can of soda. So I know that sounds appalling, but it really does speak to the importance of avoiding soda and drinking water, right? So something to think about. Here's a family activity. Families will examine the sugar content in common drinks. They'll work together to identify healthier alternatives for beverages they are served to drink. And there's way to incorporate even more fun ways to drink water, right? You might have ideas for adding, an herb to it, like mint, or maybe you want to add lemon or both, right? Or cucumbers or watermelon. And I actually have to share with you an idea that we have on the Healthy Kids website. And we'll take a look at that actually right after this one here, where we'll take a look at the recipes. There's one recipe that I'm really excited to share with you. It's called Hydro Pops or Paletas de Sorpresa. And they're really cool. No added sugar whatsoever. Excuse me. We bought a watermelon the other day and realized very quickly in our small family, we're not going to be able to finish this massive watermelon in the course of a day. So we shared some of it and we're like, okay, we've still got kind of a lot of this left. Well, you know how sometimes the watermelon is like a little bit like there's the firm pieces and then there's kind of like the spongy part of it. I don't really enjoy the spongy part very much, but I also didn't want to waste that. So what I did was I put it in the blender, kind of like how the recipe suggested. Mixed it with, I didn't have any coconut water, so I just used regular water, watermelon, some lime juice, and a little bit of mint. Blended it, strained it, and it was excellent. So it was really an aguas frescas without any added sugar. Now I can't take credit for the recipe because it's essentially the same thing that would go in the popsicle molds. But if you feel like having it right away and you want a refreshing beverage that's also going to give you some added vitamins and no added sugar, that's a way to do it as well. So we're going to take a look at one more set of lesson plans here. Oh, sorry, that was the same one we were just looking for. Here is the set of lesson plans for Watch Out for Sugar. And We always want to promote drinking water. This is really important too. The average American drinks 50 gallons of soda per year. That is a lot. That's about 40 pounds of sugar. I think about 40 pounds. Even though I'm not great at gardening, I know that those bags of soil are typically about 40 pounds. Drinking that much sugar over the course of a year seems mind-boggling, right? Drinking just one 20-ounce sugary drink per day can result in a person gaining 25 extra pounds in a year. Drinking sodas and other sugary drinks is a cause of tooth decay. Sugar in soda works with bacteria in your mouth to form acid, which attacks your teeth and weakens tooth enamel. You can start to get cavities when your enamel is weakened. So with that in mind, it really speaks to the importance of why we should avoid it, right? I like that this was included right after. It says it can be difficult to resist the temptation of refined sugar. It's so much a part of our diet here in the US, right? Even when we know it's not a healthy choice, it's something that we've become accustomed to and our taste buds have become accustomed to. So what are some ways that we can make sure that we don't eat too much? It says, for example, children eating less than 3 teaspoons of sugar per day, choosing sweet tasting fruit instead of sugary desserts, making sure we're not eating sugar every day, and eating only small amounts instead of filling large serving dishes with sugary treats, avoiding sugary foods at breakfast time. All of this might help us to crave it less during the day. And there's just these small changes that we can make, right? So if we're denying ourselves immediately, like no sugar ever anymore, we're going to go from, start to stop, like immediately, that can result in not having a lot of success with it, right? But if we break it down and make more manageable steps, like, okay, I'm going to have some treats, but I'm not going to have it every day. There is one resource on PBS Learning Media where there's a young lady who's, I think she's 18 or 19, and she has type 2 diabetes. And so she said when she started going to college and she had, the dining hall right there, that there are all these options available to her. And she's like, some of them were healthy and some of them were not. And she mentions one of my favorite things in the whole world is ice cream. I would have ice cream every day if I could. She's like, but what I do is, since there's an ice cream machine there, I have to tell myself, okay, I'm not going to have this every day. I'm going to have it once or twice a week, and I'm not going to have a giant serving of it. I'm going to take one of the cups and fill it halfway. And so now I have something to look forward to. So it's not denying yourself completely, right? Just the same way as we were saying, it's not about saying, don't ever eat birthday cake again, or don't ever eat your favorite treats again, but it's talking about not doing it as often, treating it the same way we would treat candy, right? So we wouldn't eat a whole bunch of candy at once because we know that that's unhealthy. We've kind of got to look at soda the same way and other sugary treats the same way. Have a little bit, enjoy yourself, but try not to have it every day. Make it something that you can look forward to, and then you won't really feel like you're missing out either. Okay, so I'm going to head on back to the Healthy Kids Project webpage. Here's where the Healthy Kids videos are. We just watched Sugar Master of Disguise. Here are the Healthy Kids recipe breaks. There's going to be gardening segments as well coming soon. Yay, we're super excited. All of these recipes are fantastic, healthy, easy to follow, and lots of fun. There's also downloadable and printable recipes available in English and Spanish as well. But I had mentioned the aguas frescas recipe. So here is basically exactly where that came from. Just this is going to be frozen. So let's take a watch.
Hey friends, welcome to Healthy Kids. It is summertime, which means we need to stay hydrated, and I've got the perfect recipe for you, Hydro Pops. Let's get started. We already have some chopped up watermelon and cucumber. We're gonna add that to our blender. We're gonna add some coconut water, a little bit of lime juice, and then we are ready to blend. That's gonna take about 5 to 10 seconds. Just get it to the consistency you like. Now, we're ready to pour this into some empty cups or a popsicle mold. Let it freeze for about 6 hours or more, and you'll get something just like that. Now we're ready to stay cool. Stay healthy, friends. See you next time. For the full recipe and more recipe ideas, visit klrn.org/healthykids.
So this is really great, easy to follow, lots of fun. And I realized that I didn't put cucumber in mine just because we didn't have any. But it's essentially the same idea, right? You can include those hydrating fruits and vegetables that are really super choices. I love the idea of making those into popsicles. Haven't done that yet, but I have had basically what would be the liquid version of it. And it's excellent and refreshing. So I encourage it. Moving right along, I want to respect your time. Here are some tips for avoiding excess sugar and salt. Now, we did go over this in one of our previous sessions, and so I wanted to just include that in there as a resource for you. In the interest of time, we're not going to go over everything, but here's just some thoughts. And remember, you're going to know what you and your family and your kiddos enjoy the most. So play with the different spices and different fruits and vegetables. You might find combinations that you really, really enjoy. So we want to avoid couch potato blues, right? What's a couch potato? Well, that's kind of, I know I've had my days where I've been a couch potato, right? Where it's just kind of being inactive, probably snacking too much, binge watching favorite shows and not really getting much, if any, physical activity. It's not a very good way to spend more than a day once in a while, right? So this is talking about that. So let's check out this video right here. And I'm sorry, there's just going to be a quick ad here, and then we'll get started.
Oh, I look a little green from all the plates that I've cleaned. All the hours that I've spent, my eyes glued to the screen. Those sodas didn't help much, now my back's a little sore. I feel so out of sorts, I can't do much more. I'm looking yellow, but I'm blue.
I can't move.
I got the couch potato blues, yeah.
Let's not do that again.
I feel horrible. Wanna feel great? Choose health.
Don't let sugar get you down.
So poor potatoes, they realized that even though they weren't very active, right? They were just kind of watching TV, playing video games, eating some unhealthy snacks. I've done that before, and I've just thought, like, gosh, why does my back hurt? Why am I tired? I haven't done anything. But that's kind of how it works, right? So it's sort of a spiral to get into to eat unhealthy foods, not get enough physical activity, you just don't feel good. So with that in mind, the potatoes were saying, oh, let's not do that again. I feel terrible, right? It doesn't feel good. Your body doesn't feel good after that. So we want to try to avoid that. Here are some wonderful family and early childhood educator activities. And instead of focusing on the negative about not getting enough physical activity, this one is focusing on what are some ways that we can be active, and how good we feel when we are active, and what are the many different ways that we can express how we're feeling. We're talking about emotions. So this is really important as we're talking about physical and emotional well-being. We want to draw that connection between being active, being healthy, and feeling good emotionally as well, right? When we're feeling healthy, we're usually feeling happy. When we're feeling happy, we're feeling healthy. So they do go hand in hand, right? So there's a big focus on finding activities that we enjoy. it can be a very special time to bond, to be able to just take a walk together. When I was working with some of my youngest students, we would try to take nature walks really often. And that was just a great time to be able to talk with the kiddos and for them to be able to share observations. I remember that one day that we went out on a walk, we saw a praying mantis. We saw some different kinds of lizards that I hadn't seen before. It was like, oh my gosh, all this stuff was living here right out on the school grounds. That's pretty neat. And so it offers us the opportunity to get up, get moving, get some fresh air, and also to explore and observe what we see in our environment, right? You can even work into that a conversation about why it's important to take care of the environment. What are some different ways that we can do that, right? So we're really offering a lot of opportunities for interaction, movement, feeling better, just getting up and taking a walk and talking together, right? It costs us nothing. We need to prepare nothing. It is very, very easy and a great way to promote physical and emotional well-being. So singing songs together, dancing, right? Really important to include those activities that we like. And I think dancing is a great one as well. Here's a really, really great activity too. Another one. I say that about all of them. It's because they're all great. This is an accommodation idea called musical pillows. So if y'all remember musical chairs, right? A lot of that was focused on paying attention to the cues of the music, when it would stop, when it would start, finding a chair, hopefully being one of the ones who would get the chair instead of who would not get a chair, things like that. This one is a little bit different. And I find this one interesting too, because this was written a few years ago, but it's promoting the idea of setting out some pillows on the floor, some, soft places to sit. And pillows or cushions at least 2 feet apart. So we're playing child-friendly music and we're telling the children to march or dance around the pillows while the music's playing. When the music stops, each of you should fall onto an empty pillow, being careful not to fall on someone else. You can remove pillows or choose to leave them and continue another round. So the child is linking music to movement, predicting upcoming movements, and increasing internal timing and rhythm. Now, one of the things I'm not, and I never have been, a competitive person. Like I'll compete with myself, like, okay, well, if I did this well, I can do the next time I do it. Let me see how I can improve. But I don't enjoy competing with other people. I don't. And I really appreciate that this was in here as well for kiddos who might feel the same way. I was like, oh, that kind of spoke to me. It's like, this is easy for children who are maybe uncomfortable with competition. You don't have to take the pillows out. You can leave them there. And this can basically be kind of like, okay, when we hear the music, we're dancing, we're moving. And then when the music stops, that's when we sit down. So, I mean, the same skill set is there. There's just no competition involved. So that's another idea too. There's different ways you can go about it. Again, we're encouraging a dance party for the family assignment. And this is certainly something you can do in your classroom too. Introducing different genres of music, finding what you like, and maybe you're going to find a new kind of music that you hadn't heard before and say like, oh, this is really cool. I really enjoy it. And we're helping our kiddos to learn rhythm and movement, right? So I think all of this goes together and really speaks to the importance of taking care of ourselves with our physical well-being, and also how that relates to our emotional well-being. It really goes hand in hand. If there's any questions, please feel free to add them in the chat. Here are some great activities in the Couch Potato Blues for pre-K lesson plans. I want to be respectful of your time. I'm keeping an eye on the time. We're learning about communicating our basic emotions and feelings. We're learning to understand the difference and connection between emotions and feelings and behaviors, right? So one of the strategies that I recently saw through it was a resource from Sesame Street in Communities. It's talking about giving yourself a hug, right? Sometimes you just want a hug. You can give yourself a hug. Sometimes you might feel really angry. All of these are normal emotions, right? But instead of acting upon that in a way where we might say or do something that is hurtful to someone else, We can give ourselves a hug, kind of give ourselves a hug and just calm down a bit, right? That can help us to calm down. Giving ourselves a hug if we feel sad. Giving ourselves a hug, as Big Bird said, if we've got so many emotions happening at the same time, which also happens, right? And that's normal too. Sometimes we're not sure if we're sad or excited, or maybe it's a combination of those things. Maybe we're scared, maybe we're happy. What are we feeling? Maybe it's a whole bunch of things happening at the same time. You know, sometimes there might be something, a big change. We're excited about that. We don't know exactly how to feel, and there's a lot of different emotions happening. Give ourselves a hug, right? And that's okay. So we're showing our kiddos that not only are our emotions normal and just part of being human, but we want to be able to communicate them and then respond to them in a way that is healthy and that will best fit your child's needs, and in a way where nobody is negatively affected by how we're feeling, right? So not acting, not showing our behaviors in a harmful way. So we're using a wide variety of vocabulary words to label and describe people, places, and actions. We're increasing listening vocabulary and beginning to develop vocabulary of object names and common phrases. And we're also learning to use information learned from books by describing, relating, categorizing, or comparing and contrasting. We're identifying good habits of nutrition and exercise. And we're also participating in classroom music activities, including singing, playing musical instruments, and moving to rhythms. There's lots of great activity ideas here. Again, this is something that you could certainly, you could do several of them in the same day. You could do these activities over the course of a week. We always recommend starting with the video, unless, of course, you're working with the youngest learners, in which case we're just focusing on the theme and the focus of the activities and not so much the videos for birth through 18 months. But everybody else, we encourage starting with the video. Now we're talking about, like, what's the main idea? Comparing our own emotions. Have we ever felt like the characters in the video? Can you name some physical sensations, right? Hungry, tired, hot, cold, etc. Can you name some emotions? Sad, joyful, anxious, bored, etc. How do you tell the difference between a physical sensation and an emotion? For example, can you tell the difference between being bored and being hungry, and how? That is a powerful question, right? Do you think that the potatoes in the last video, in the couch potato blues video, do you think they were hungry or do you think they were bored? I feel like maybe they were bored, right? Sometimes it's fun to try new foods, and that's not a bad thing, but it's not a healthy thing when they're all unhealthy foods, and then we're not getting enough physical activity to, which we need during the day, and also to balance out when we've had more unhealthy foods. So thinking about that, then we're talking about how we're feeling. We're singing and dancing with the children to If You're Happy and You Know It. How do you feel after singing and dancing? And then asking how they deal with emotions. For example, when they're sad, do they pout? When they're angry, do they cry? We might consider other choices of words as well, right? When they're sad, do you feel like being by yourself? Does your face show it? What are some ways that your face might show if you're feeling sad or when you're feeling angry? And then offering alternatives for what we might want to do when we're angry, right? If, for example, if a kiddo felt like throwing something when they're angry, like, well, okay, instead of throwing a toy, which could, break the toy or even worse, hit someone, right? And we don't want to do that with either our hands or an object. We don't want to do that, right? So maybe shooting a basketball, would that help, right? Because we're still throwing something, but now we've got a goal in mind and we're playing a sport, and that's a healthy activity. So it's kind of just readjusting and figuring out what are some healthy ways that we can express our emotions and get those feelings out, right? Talking about this beautiful book and talking about some points to ponder. This speaks to the importance of eating breakfast every day. Now, I know, especially when we have to wake up early, we might not feel hungry. Excuse me. And that's valid. The point we also want to make is to bring up the question, how do you feel when you skip breakfast? Most people feel grouchy. Maybe you've heard the term hangry before, right? Hungry and angry. Are you one of those people? Do you listen to your body? Sometimes it's a good idea just to even have something small, even if you don't want to eat a big breakfast right away, to have something small. So maybe a piece of fruit, just to start the day, right? And then you might feel a little bit more hungry later on, but to choose healthy choices, even if we're going to have something small, just to make sure that we're not without anything in our bellies, right? Have you ever felt sick after eating too much ice cream or too many cookies? I have. What did you do about it? How do you know when your stomach is full? We also want to include encourage our children to eat slowly, right? And some kiddos are going to eat more slowly and some kiddos are going to eat really quickly. And we notice that when we eat quickly, our brain hasn't really gotten the signal yet that like, oh, hey, I'm full, right? I don't want to eat anymore. And then we might eat to the point where we have a stomach ache, and that's not healthy either. So when we're eating a little bit more slowly, that is a bit healthier. I know that does kind of create a little bit of an issue though when we have a limited amount of time in which to eat our food too. So that's tricky as well. It is, as it says here, it's impossible to resist all unhealthy snacks. It's important to be aware of what we're eating. So for example, if you eat cake and ice cream at a birthday party, just don't go back for seconds, right? Keep it as, okay, that was something that I enjoyed. I ate it slowly and I appreciate it. It's also something that you're not going to do every day, right? So it's talking about that, balancing it out, right? And that's part of being physically and emotionally well too. We want to make sure that we're not overdoing it on any one thing, right? You can enjoy the things that you enjoy. We just need to talk about like how often it is healthy to do so, right? So here are some ideas for how we can do these activities, talking about a face that we have, a face that we're making and what we would associate with that, right? And then doing charades, that's a great way to express emotions. How are we feeling? And then younger children might be given a card with a face depicting an emotion to act it out. Introduce students to figurative language and non-literal meanings. Have each student choose an idiom to illustrate it in a humorous way. We actually did this activity when I was in kindergarten, so a long time ago. It's a neat idea. Discuss the true meaning of the sayings with the class. So some possible idioms are like, I'm walking on air, I'm down in the dumps, I'm feeling blue, I have a chip on my shoulder, right? So all of these are fun little idioms that we can include as well. So neat ideas. And here are the couch potato blues in English and Spanish. And here is a potato recording sheet because, of course, we're going to include our potatoes with this, right? Here's where we're taking a look. We're offering I would suggest this in a small group, perhaps. We have done this with small group activities in a learning center where we gave the children a basket of potatoes and each one chose a potato and then they measured it with Unifix cubes. And you could use any non-standard measurement just as long as it's the same item being used to measure, right? It could be paper clips, if that's appropriate for the age group that you work with. It could be blocks. However, my potato is this long. My potato weighs this much. How many cubes? My potato has this many eyes, all the different dots that are on the potato. My potato is this color. The potatoes are different colors, right? My potato feels like this. And you can circle all the words that tell how it feels. Bumpy, wet, hard, smooth, dry, soft. My potato looks like this, and then we're going to draw it. So it's just a lot of fun. It's a neat activity. Now, I know that I'm getting close to the end of time, so I want to end of our time, excuse me. So we're going to go over staying active. Then I'm going to show you the QR code that you can scan. Then we'll come back and close out our session. Please do ask any questions that you have in the chat. Here's some tips for staying active. Again, this is a set of ideas that we went over at a previous session and wanted to include it again too, because when we're staying active, we're feeling good. It's important for our physical health, and it does positively affect our emotional well-being too. So first and foremost, think of activities that you enjoy. Do you really enjoy riding a bike? Do you really enjoy going for a walk? Do you really enjoy playing hopscotch, right? What are some things that you might really enjoy? Incorporate that into your day. Even a few minutes a day will make a positive difference. If you're working toward a goal, like let's say, you got 5 minutes of exercise in, that is great. That's 5 minutes. We want to aim for 60 minutes a day. We can gradually add a few minutes each day. Set goals for yourself. This is really, like we mentioned too, it's a great way to connect with loved ones. Ideas could include taking a walk, at-home yoga, going for a run. I'd love to hear your ideas as well. Okay, so we're going to go to It's Not About Perfection in just a moment from slide 32, but we are going to, we're going to head on over to the QR code. Okay, so if you can go ahead and take a moment to complete the post survey by scanning the QR code or by clicking on the link in the chat. Here it is. Both the link and the QR code are exactly taking us to the exact same place. So if you can go ahead and do that, that's going to help us to prepare your certificate. So I'll leave that there for just a moment. We're also going to put it in the chat as well. So whichever works better for you. Okay, just leave it there for another moment. Okay, thank you. Alrighty, friends, I'm going to go on ahead back to our previous slides. And in the interest of time, I'll be a little bit more concise with the activities. I get so excited to talk about all this because it's such a great program. So it's not about perfection. This is a great resource as well. So as we're on our journey to good health, we can sometimes make choices that are not so healthy. Remember to make your next choice a healthy choice. After all, SP says it's not about perfection, it's about the right direction. So let's take a look at this. Remember, this is the aftermath of their couch potato blues. SP didn't watch videos and get no physical activity and eat unhealthy snacks. It was just Russet and Yukon, so she's helping them out.
Ugh, only a dummy would eat all that junk food. I feel like such a failure.
Oh, Russet, everyone makes mistakes.
Whoa. It's not about perfection, it's about the right direction. Take a step today and you'll be on your way. It's not about perfection, you can make a correction. Put both feet on the ground and turn yourself around. Just one step in the right direction leads you down the path. Just one step in the right direction is how we do the math. It's not about perfection, it's about the right direction. Put both feet on the ground and turn yourself around. It only takes one step to move in the right direction. Make your next choice a healthy choice.
Wanna feel great? Choose health.
That really speaks to the importance of, there's always a second time to try, and we'll make our next choice a healthy choice. So with that in mind, we want to focus on what are some good habits that we can develop, right? Again, we're speaking to the importance of taking care of ourselves and what are some ways that we can do that, right? So in this particular lesson for our family and early childhood education plans, again, that's 0 through about age 5 age range, excuse me. We're focusing on describing our facial emotions and also labeling emotions that we display and that we feel, and then also taking care of ourselves, right? So that includes eating good foods, drinking lots of water, making sure that we get physical activity, making sure that we get enough rest. That's really important. And also we're introducing the importance of physical hygiene, right? Washing our faces, washing our hands, brushing our teeth, cleaning, being clean, right? So this is a very helpful way to encourage our kiddos to make healthy choices, and then to connect the idea of helping each other. And in this age group, we're also encouraging offering help to a teddy bear or another stuffed animal, right? Helping them, how would we wash their face? How would we, using like a washcloth or a dry washcloth, how would we help them if they had a runny nose or if they're feeling sick, or what are some healthy habits they would brush their teeth, right? It's talking about how to take good care of ourselves in that way as well, because that also contributes positively to our emotional well-being. Here are the pre-K lesson plans. In the interest of time, we're just going to briefly touch on these. And not about perfection activities. I'm going to take a moment just to talk about this. One of the things that we're mentioning in this video as we're connecting with our kiddos, what was the main idea of this video, right? That's a question that we frequently ask. How did this song make you feel? Why do you think the author wrote it? Was it useful for Russet to call himself a dummy? Would it be acceptable to call someone else a dummy? What's the difference? What other things might Russet say to himself instead that are kinder or more empowering, right? So thinking about that, because we do tend to do that to ourselves, right? Say, oh gosh, what's wrong with me? I'm not, that wasn't a smart choice, or, saying things that are mean to ourselves, right? So maybe next time we can say like, okay, next time I'm going to make a healthier choice because I didn't feel good when I ate too many cookies, right? Or things like that. So being kind to ourselves is important as well. Now, here is a great resource, very simple. It's available in English and Spanish, but the idea here is there's only one me. So we want to encourage the kiddos to draw or write or both the aspects of themselves that are unique and special. There's only one me, right? And friends, there's only one you. There's only one you in the whole world and all of time. There's just one you. And we want to encourage our kiddos to think on that as well. You're special, you are important, you are valued, and you matter. Sometimes our kiddos might have a hard time finding those qualities in themselves, right? And so this is a neat activity also to include their friends in as well. Like, oh, what do you like best about, your buddy? Oh, well, they always, read with me, or they always invite me to play with them at recess, right? So whatever that is, well, that makes you a good friend, right? You are very welcoming. And so helping them to answer that as well is a great way for them to see not only their own value, but to recognize the ways that others around them see their value as well. Be kind to yourself. Here are some great strategies for that. Help each other. So we can all be good role models by choosing health and helping each other. So let's take a quick look at this video here. Help each other. And this one actually, it wraps up a little sooner. So I'm just going to pause it when the audio ends. So we'll take a look at this one. Help each other.
Help your brother choose what's right. You gotta help each other day and night. Help your sister choose what's right. You gotta help each other do what's right. You gotta help your mother, help your father, help each other do what's right.
Thanks, SP, for helping us make good choices.
It feels good to do the right thing.
So with that, we're seeing how everybody was helping each other, right? We first noticed little sister encouraging her brother, hey, step away from your cell phone, come play with me. And then older brother was saying, hey, have this healthy orange, and it's a big orange too. That's a lot better for you than a lollipop, right? And then they helped their mom, who had their baby sibling with her, to prepare a nice healthy picnic, right? So this is showing ways that we all help each other. We all need each other's help. So it's not just one of us saying, I've got all the answers, right? It's each of us doing our part. So I really, really like that. I think that was handled very nicely in the video. So here are the links to the family lesson, pre-K lesson plans, kinder through second grade lesson plans, and then ways that my hands help others. And you might find some similarities to this and the previous resource that we looked at. And there are some similarities here, right? But we want to talk about and illustrate ways. What are some ways that my hands help others? Like maybe your students have pets that they help to feed and give water to every day and to take for a walk, or maybe they are really good about helping you in the classroom, or what are some different ways that they help each other, right? And it's great to be able to recognize that, because we can all use that reminder of like, I'm needed, I'm helpful, right? The water song. This is speaking to the importance of how water is important for all living things, and it is vital to drink plenty of water each day, especially here where it's hot. So let's take a closer look.
Did you know that your body is made up of mostly water?
We can't live without it.
Delicious.
I can't live without my water. Water is the drink for me. I can't live without my water. And the best part, water's free.
Juice and soda are desserts.
That's why we choose water first. Water helps us stay alive. Have some water, give me 5. I can't live without my water. Water is the drink for me. I can't live without my water. And the best part, water's free. Water washes out the bad stuff. Water washes in the good. Water is the best choice for a kid to drink with food. Yes, water is the very best choice for a kid to drink with food.
Water is the best choice all the time.
For kids of every age.
Learn more.
Well, that is just a great reminder of how important it is to drink water. There are several very as you've noticed, the lesson plans for family lesson plans and early childhood educator lesson plans, pre-K lesson plans, kinder through second grade lesson plans. Then, of course, there's a resource here. It's available in both English and Spanish. This one is the Spanish copy. This is talking about the water that's in us. So as we can see, this kiddo here has a water bottle, and then it's pointing to different parts of their body. It says, okay, 70% of our brain is water. Have you ever noticed when you don't drink enough water? I know I have, that I get a headache. That makes sense now, right? Our lungs are 90% water. Our blood, 83% water, excuse me. Our bones are 22% water, even our bones, right? And of course we had to include a potato, right? So that's 75% water. So interesting to know, even our whole bodies, our whole selves, more than half water, 60% water. So very, very interesting to keep track of. This is from, these are some tips that I wanted to include as well, just that we have gone over before. It's important to think about ways that we can get water throughout the day. So if you're getting kind of bored of just plain water, there's different things you can add to it. Keeping on a schedule to remember, okay, I'm going to drink this much water. I know sometimes there's even water bottles that have little reminders written on them, like, okay, you're halfway there, or you just got a little bit more to go, or 3 p.m., I need to be drinking this much water. There's lots of different strategies, and you can find the one that works best for you. So this is Foods That Grow. This is talking about how healthy they are. We're going to watch the video.
Look at all these amazing fruits and vegetables.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all good for us.
Foods, foods, foods that grow are the best ones, don't you know? Foods, foods, foods that grow are the only way to go. Other foods may taste just fine, but they don't fuel your heart and mind. Bags and wrappers from the store leave your body wanting more. Fruits, veggies, beans and grains feed your bones, muscles, eyes and brains. Nature knows what's truly best. Choose fresh first before the rest. Foods, foods, foods that grow are the best ones, don't you know? Foods, foods, foods that grow are the only way to go.
So that's a great example of all of these different wonderful, delicious, good for you foods, and they all grow, right? So fruits and vegetables. Healthy Choices A to Z. This one's really fun. It's a neat song. Let's take a look.
I'm bored. What can we do?
I'm hungry. What can we eat?
Let's use the alphabet. Apricots.
Avocado.
Archery.
Archery?
That's not a food.
It's something healthy to do.
Apples, apricots, avocados, archery, blueberries, biking, basketball, cauliflower, cantaloupe, dodgeball, dancing, diving, eggplant, and exercise, and dive, French bean, crepes, honeydew hockey, high jump, ice skating, iceberg lettuce, judo, karate, kayak, kiwi kale, long jump, loquats, mangoes, march, navy beans, nopales, napping, oranges, okra, onions, ping pong, peach, peach and quince, raspberries, radish, soccer, swimming, squash, tennis, ugly fruits, weights, watermelon, chicois, yoga, and zucchini.
Don't forget the vine-ripened tomatoes!
Wanna feel great?
So that one's just a really fun one. It's quite similar in Spanish, although the words are going to be a little bit different. So there's a few different items that are included in there as well. Health feels great. This is where we're going to wrap up our session. Good health is its own reward because being healthy feels great. Let's watch this.
Wow, you've gotten so much stronger since you started exercising, Yukon.
Whoa, Russ, it's a lot stronger too.
And I feel happier. Eating right and being active makes me feel great.
Whoa!
How about you, SP? Do you feel different?
I do. I have more energy. And my brain can remember more when I study. But the best part is that I feel good about myself when I make a healthy choice.
Do you remember when we were stuck underground?
We could barely move. And the bigger we got, the more stuck we felt.
Yeah, it was scary being pulled up.
And it was scary having to try new things. But it was worth it. We all feel great now. Wanna feel great? Choose health.
So that's a really, really positive message, right? Here you'll see again for each one of these lesson plans and each one of these videos, each one of the videos, you'll see a corresponding set of lesson plans. Here are some activity cards. And this is fun because some of them are extremely simple and some of them are more complex, but it does speak to the importance of how we need to take care of our bodies because we need our bodies for all of this, right? Blink 4 times. That's really, really easy, right? Run in place for 25 steps, a little more complex, right? Raise both hands up and down 20 times, do 20 jumping jacks, look at a friend, right? We need our bodies for all of these things. So with that, important to take care of ourselves emotionally, physically, and those two things combined. Friends, we really, really appreciate all that you do for your students, the way that you look out for them, and please make sure that you're taking care of yourselves too. Please know that we are here for you. We are an email away if you need anything. Thank you so much for the work that you do. And with that, we're going to call it a day. So thank you, friends. If you haven't had a chance to scan the QR code, you can go ahead and do that now. Again, you just need to do that post survey once. So thank you so much. And please be on the lookout for your for your certificate. That should be arriving around May 15th. Possibly a little bit earlier, but around May 15th. So that will take just a little bit longer this time. Thank you all so much and have a wonderful day. Bye now.